Hello and welcome. I'm Inverta Umbra and this is Dwarf Fortress. This will be a new Let's Play series. I don't know what the series name will be called just yet. Probably be named after the first fortress or whatever, but if you're not familiar with Dwarf Fortress, it's a very complex but fun game. Um, and I don't even mean that in the fun way that Dwarf Fortress is usually meant when you use fun. Um, Dwarf Fortress has its own meaning of fun, based all around the sentence "losing is fun." Um, but I really find it to be a very enjoyable game, and I hope those watching will as well. I'm just going to do a setup episode, so this will be episode 0, and I just wanted to show what kind of settings I chose and everything. This is a randomly generated world. Almost nothing has changed out of the generation. Um, I set it up. It's only generated for, I believe, 188 years, so we will be starting in the 189th year. Um, and for those of you who are not familiar with Dwarf Fortress, what that means is basically the world has only really existed for those 188 years, or at least, I don't know how to put it, like cognitively existed. So there's still, since it's only been about 200 years, there's still a lot of like mythical monsters and stuff. The world isn't very settled. Um, right now, this is the maps that you see in front of you, or the pictures you see in front of you, are maps. In the center here, we have the region map, which is kind of like uh, I don't know how to really describe it, but it's the map I use the most. The world map is basically what the entire world looks like, and you'll notice that little yellow X that's right there. Um, this map just shows where you are in relation to the entire world, whereas this map shows you more of where you are in relation to just uh, sections of the map. And then there's this little one over here. Once I find kind of a good area I want, like I find a place I want to actually settle, it's called the local map, and it will allow me to figure out exactly where I want to settle in that little section. So each one of these little squares, which you can't really see, but it's basically what the X takes up as a square, is this right here. And then inside that, there's a little space I can move around and decide. Um, if you're not familiar with the graphics, it may look a little weird, but basically the big blue is the ocean, and green is kind of, terrain, trees, jungles. Yellow might be a deserty area, or I think that's actually, like the yellow right here, yeah, that's like a city of some sort. Probably an elven city. The purple is evil lands. I believe this is a bad land. Oh no, it's ocean. Infected oceans. I don't think I want to start near that. Anyways, there are lots of little ways to figure out how you want to start your fortress, including using, there's something called the F key over here, find desired location. You can even set up what you want in your location. I'm not going to use that. It takes a little bit of time, and I want to keep things interesting, not find like the most perfect location, but just find somewhere that looks pretty neat. And this actually, it's got a brook, some soil, some sand, shallow and deep metals, and a flux-stone layer. But it's only shallow and deep metal. So that may not seem like a very important distinction. However, that means there's only one type of metal, or at least there's only one type of metal in abundance. So let's see. I think that's probably what I'm going to pick, but I'm going to kind of look around, see if there's deep metals. Okay, so shallow metal, deep metals, but deep soil. And I don't have the sand. I also would like to avoid an aquifer. So for those of you who are actually experienced watching Dwarf Fortress, or you watch a lot of people play Dwarf Fortress, I am not very good at the game. I have lost entire weeks to the game. I have been absorbed in it and played it for a long time. I've probably played it for about 7 years. Um, and I am not very good at it. I can do all the basics, but when things start going to the fan, um, I don't do too well. So hopefully that'll prove to be an enjoyable experience. And if you're watching this and you are familiar with Dwarf Fortress and see some things I do that may not be for the best, let me know. If you got a little tip or something about how better to set it up or whatever, I will definitely listen to it. Let's see here. Yeah, it's looking like that one area was probably the best. The reason I want sand is the ability to make glass. It's kind of like a renewable resource that will allow me um, to make a lot of things to sell. Some of these places are quite bad. Actually, there's another reason I kind of want to start near here. Um, I believe this is an evil area. Yeah, terrifying. But this is just Untamed Wilds, so it should prove to be somewhere interesting to watch. Sand, little soil, shallow metal, flexstone layer. Mm, deep metals. So I'm still, it's looking like this is going to be it, but if I could just get a little more different metal. Mm, well, as long as it's a half decent metal, and possibly at some point in the future there'll be some candy. If you don't know what I'm talking about with that, hopefully at some point in the fortress I'll reach the point to talk about it. But I really don't want to spoil anything like that. Some soil, sand, flexstone layer. Where's that one that had like? There's right there, I think. Clay. Oh no, that doesn't have the sand. So yeah, you can spend an hour in this alone, just looking for that perfect place. And there's an aquifer. What an aquifer means is that on certain tiles, when you dig, there'll be these stones. They'll basically just belch water. Metals. You know what? Maybe I'll give up the sand. If I could just find a little bit of sand, it'd be fine. But I don't really like deep soil. I like having stone. Shallow metal, deep metal, some soil. Let's try. Alright, that looks good. We got some trees, like it's a woodland. It's Untamed Wilds. Let's see what's nearby. So if we hit tab, our neighbors are dwarves and elves. Oh. I was hoping that there'd be goblins or something to provide an interest to the to fight. Hmm. So I'm gonna put a note here, and then I'm gonna come back to that. I'm gonna see if I can find anywhere else that has a little more exciting of a start. Um, Maybe I should use the F key. Deep metal, or shallow metals, metal, deep metal. If I could get a little bit of the brook. It's hot here, which I don't really like. It's a tropical freshwater swamp. Um, shadow, shallow metal, deep metals, flexstone layer. And what's nearby? Alright, we have goblins, so we have someone to fight. We have humans, and obviously we're the dwarves. So we'll have our own dwarves coming to see us. Um, this over here shows a height map. It's relative elevations and stuff. Um, I don't know what that is. So you can see we got kind of a slope towards the bottom, and towards the top it's relatively flat, you know. And I do kind of like to have a mountain to build into, but I'm not going to really try and find that while recording for YouTube. So we're going to just start on here. We're going to hit the E key for embark. We only get one warning for it, so we're going to hit enter. And then you could choose one of these pre-set up, prepared things, or you could do your play now. I want to prepare for the journey carefully. Now in this screen, you can see these are all the starting dwarves. There's 7 of them. And I could go over and increase their skills and different things. I actually do not like to do that because when I use there's an outside program I use called Dwarf Therapist, which helps me assign different dwarves different jobs. But it also tells me that some dwarves are better at certain jobs than others. So I prefer to not give them any skills in the particular job and just allow them to gain their own skills depending on what they're good at. I mean, I may get a crapshoot and nothing's really that good at anything, but that's kind of how I just like to do it. So we have all this stuff over here that is actually coming with us. We have 2 copper picks, 2 battle axes, um, a steel anvil. Can I get a iron anvil? Usually if it says steel anvil, it's because there is no iron, but that's kind of not so good because steel is, well, really expensive. Minecarts, mudstone. I can't remember what steel is under. But anyways, I hit the N key to add something um, to add by these lists. So these are things I don't have on. So if I hit escape, these are things I don't have on our prepared journey list. I still, that steel anvil's taking up a lot of points. I might have to get rid of it and trade for it later. I like to take a lot of beer and a lot of ale. So if I hit the positive key, I'll have 40 beer, 40 ale. Food shouldn't be that hard for us to get started with, but maybe take a little more. Plum pellets are actually kind of expensive. We'll take a little more of the cave fish and prepared ant brain. Um, Quivers. Some of the mindset of if you're in the first beginning, first year, and you wind up needing splints, crutches, or something like that, you're probably not going to survive. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of those things off there. The buckets I actually will use. I'm only going to take 1 quiver. Um, The rest of this looks pretty good, except for that anvil. Let's see. And am I not spelling it right? No, I'm pretty sure that's so maybe because I have the steel anvil on this list and there is no iron anvil for whatever reason. That's what I got. I'm also going to take, I believe, pigs, male and female, are probably one of the best ones to take with you. I'm going to take 1 cat and one female and 1 male cat. And the same for 1 dog and 1 female dog. Alright. And the reason being is that's a breeding pair. Hopefully I don't lose them in the first little bit. But dogs are good because they can be trained to be war or hunting animals. Cats are good because they keep vermin down in the fortress. And pigs are good because they can produce milk and they're good for a source of meat. And then let's see here. I wish to add probably a little more drink. Um, Backpacks, ropes, threads, sheets. Yeah, probably a little more um, drink, just because I like to have that extra little cushion when I start and not have to worry about making this stuff. So we're going to go into our fort name by pressing capital F. Um, Large construct. Seems like a great name, but I feel I won't live up to that. Um, just hit random. Anguished doors, master crafts. No. Silvery heroes. I don't think we're gonna be heroes. Basement born. You know what? I like that name. We'll take that. And our group name. So you have a fortress name, and then you have a group name, and the group name is of the people who make up the fortress. Um, the large craft. Maybe I should have gone with that first name, but oh well. The lost channels. The tour of subtlety. Um, the sweltering gold. The basic bust. Yeah, I like that name. We're gonna go with that. We're a basic bust. Um, and I think we're pretty much ready. So there's nothing else to really do in this map. If you were to decide that you wanted to have characters, if you're new to this game and you're playing Fortress mode, which is what we're playing, there is another mode called Adventurer mode. But if you're playing Fortress mode and you get your 7 doors and you're like, I want them to have some skills to start off with, basically what you do is you go highlight the dwarf in question. You go over by pressing the over key on the arrows, and then you would scroll up or scroll down to the skill, and then you hit the plus or minus key. Again, I'm not going to do that because I like to see how they set themselves up. Um, so we're going to embark, and this is probably going to be the end of the episode. So this is just episode 0. It's kind of a boring episode. It's just to set up, what I did with my dwarves, why they are the way they are. So if you watch this episode and follow me into episode 1, thank you. Um, ooh, we have arrived after a journey from the mountain home into the forbidden wilderness beyond. Your harsh trek has finally ended. Party of 7, yeah. Alligators get hungry. So this is basically a short little message. It does change a little bit depending on where you embark, because I think we embarked in a swamp. Um, that's why I said here the alligators get hungry. You always start in spring, and there we go. So it starts paused, which I prefer, and this looks to be the starting area. So it looks like we got some cobwebs down below, which do not mean anything as bad as they do in Cataclysm. Um, Means I could send some. Oh, we got some near our area. Means I could send someone out to collect those. There's the brook, and then all these little blue areas are lakes. So, anyways, yeah, I will get started probably in the next episode. I'll probably try to release it pretty close to when this one's released, just so I have 2 episodes going up at once. Um, episode 0 and episode 1. But thank you for joining me. I'm Inverta Umbra, and this has been Dwarf Fortress.